Hey guys, how are you? This is Norm Schriever, Real Estate and Mortgage Marketing with Norm. Hope everyone's doing great and staying at home, staying positive and healthy and safe. I wanted to bring you a really cool podcast, video cast today. I was honored to be a part of this. My good friend Kelly Resendez of Big Voices Rise and the Foundation to Sustainable Success. I have a tough time saying that. She invited me on this video cast with her and an associate named Tom Bresnahan. He's a really interesting and cool guy. He worked as a very successful actor in Hollywood for years and years, and then transitioned into speaking and presentation coaching. And he does that for some of the top execs, Hollywood actors still, and a whole lot of other business people and media and entertainment people around the world with Star Power Talk. That's the name of his company. Instead of me going on and on about it, of course you'll listen, but I wanted to just read one line from his website. The words you communicate determine the profitability of your business. The words you communicate determine the profitability of your business. And yet so few of us are actually putting any thought or research or practice or study or design into the words we communicate. So without further ado, here is Kelly, Tom, and myself having a great conversation. Thanks, guys.
Hey guys, it's Kelly Resendez with Foundation to Sustainable Success, and I've got my good friend Norm Schreiber here as well. And we just wanted to take this opportunity to bring on just a super special guy to share some wisdom with you about really just honing your presentation and speaking skills. So many of you don't realize how often you do it, whether it's in the living room with one of your potential clients or across the desk from a potential loan applicant. You are constantly presenting. And then some of you also are actually using and leveraging public speaking to build your career as well. And most of us haven't actually got any formal training. I know, being a speaker for 20 years, it wasn't until the last couple years that I actually took the time to invest in myself and learn better public speaking skills. So we've got Tom here. And Tom, I'm just going to go ahead and introduce you right now as just somebody that, you've done it all. You've been an actor. Many of you probably might recognize him from a myriad of different shows and movies that he's been on. He's been a therapist and helped many people, really work through some of the challenges that they were facing, but most recently has been a speaking coach. And he works with people directly to not only craft a great presentation, but also how to deliver their presentation and speaking as well. So Tom, without further ado, I'm just going to let you give them a little bit of your background, and then we'll just kind of chime in, and Norm and I will probably just fire some questions at you after that.
It sounds great. Thank you so much, Kelly. So yeah, as Kelly said, I have sort of a unique, diverse background, if you will. I was an actor and producer and a writer in Hollywood for 22 years. If you look me up on the Internet Movie Database, I do have a lot of credits. I actually worked. It's not like I did 2 commercials. I was also in sales in the women's fashion industry for years with my ex-wife. And as Kelly mentioned, I was a therapist and intervention leader for many years. So I really know how to approach all the different angles of public speaking, having done literally hundreds and hundreds, well over 1,000 presentations on camera, on stage. I've been on Broadway. I also know, because I came up with a lot of famous actors that you guys know, like Brad Pitt, Keanu Reeves, Johnny Depp, and didn't achieve the level that I know now I could have. I know what it's like when you have something holding you back from really excelling and really closing those clients and growing your business, but you're not quite sure what it is. Those feelings of I'm not enough, what I have to say isn't right, my approach isn't right, I don't like the way I look, I don't like the way I sound, whatever. All those things I really help people with. And the other thing that you want to do when you're trying to obviously get someone to give you their listing or get a mortgage through you, you really want to take them through a story. Hollywood has made billions of dollars, as we all know, in the hero's journey story arc. And the mistake a lot of people I find make is that they try to make themselves the hero. Oh, I'm going to cover every base and you're going to get the best rate and nothing will fall through in the closing and all that stuff. But what they don't realize is you have to make your prospect the hero and you have to make yourself the guide. You have to reassure them in this sort of 3-act story arc, if you will, that you can get down to 5 or 10 minutes. I don't want you to think that you have to do a 40-minute presentation to someone in their living room, but you really have to hit those bells and whistles with people because, as we all know, getting someone to buy a mortgage through you or give you their listing or whatever, it's a Me Too business. And what we mean by that is they can get that service from a lot of different people. So why they're going to hire you is how they feel about you, how you're presenting your services, how you're put together. I work with people on how they look, their hair, their clothes, what looks best on camera, just so many things. Because what I tell my clients all the time is that the words you communicate determine the profitability of your business. They really do. You have to learn how to communicate profitably and how to brand yourself, where you're talking about what you do, who you serve, and the outcomes you produce in the same way everywhere. So whether you're out at a social event, a networking event, a business event, presenting, wherever you are, people go, oh, wow, Kelly's that woman that, yeah, Norm's that guy, right? And so they really start to associate you with those phrases, those slogans, that messaging. And that's how you can really differentiate yourself in the marketplace. So that's kind of, an overview of what I do.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Fascinating.
Well, why don't you start with some questions?
Yeah, so it definitely, there was a bunch of things you said that really were impactful. Of course, that's very actionable right away when you say, don't make yourself the hero in the presentation or in the scenario that you're pitching to a client. And that's, we all have egos. We're all trying to impress. We're all trying to blow them away with what we could do for them. So that's probably a common take. So basically, instead of making yourself the hero, you have to make yourself Morgan Freeman, the narrator of the whole thing. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. Because you guys know the human brain uses the most calories of any organ in your body. And so if you can't help me survive or thrive, I'm only going to use a certain amount of calories to listen to what you have to say. But if you're making it about me, if you're saying, hey, I'll be your guide, I'll hold your hand, I'll walk you through this. This is how I do it. I'm going to make you look good. You're going to get the best rate on your mortgage. You're going to have all the bases covered on the closing. I'm going to show you the rooms you might need to sort of remodel, or let's do some painting, or let's fix the deck out there or whatever. Let's do a little landscaping. You really want to show them that you can make them the hero, get the best price, get the best rate, and they can sort of say, I did it all myself, but you're the guide.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got a question for you. You touched on it a little bit, but ego is definitely one of the most challenging things that we can get through in human psychology, right? So many of us are constantly striving to protect ourselves or to project ourselves so that we can feel significant at all times. How would you, for the person that's like, I literally am scared to death of getting in front of a group, I'm scared to death of doing, I get anxiety every time I go to do this. Like, what advice or wisdom would you share with them about how to break through that block?
That's a great question, Kelly. And I have so much experience at that because, as I'm sure you guys realize, Hollywood is mostly rejection. And you go in and an audition at the network or the studio or whatever, you've got 5 minutes about to just shine. You walk in, they're already making decisions about you. Could he be the guy? Could he never? How's he dressed? Does he remind me of that guy in high school that used to bully me? Whatever. There's so many things going on in their head. So what you have to learn is you have no control over that. All you have to do is make it about being of service. in an audition or in a sales presentation or whatever, how can I serve this person? How can I make them feel relaxed? How can I make them feel like, listen, I've got you. I'm going to get you the best rate on your mortgage. I'm going to cover all the bases in this home sale and make sure everything gets done right so you get the best price. Really make it about them. I mean, we all know public speaking is listed after death as one of the big fears people have. But what I found is that if you can make it about the other person and serving them and thinking about when we're having insecurities or feeling like, oh God, are they going to like me or what? When we can think about what their insecurities are and what they might be feeling, and then how can I solve that for them? How can I reassure them? It gets us out of ourselves and puts us into their world. And the other sort of result of that, if you will, is they feel that. They feel it. People can tell if you're a little nervous.
Yeah.
But when they feel like, wow, they really care about me, they really want to know what my needs are, it really opens them up. They feel your vulnerability. They know they have the same thing. And that's where you find you'll make these deep connections with people.
So it's almost empathy, right? I mean, you're really, like you said, you're out of your own head and your own needs and your own, your own ego, and really empathizing with them and trying to solve their problems, huh?
It's exactly, Norm. It's big time empathy, and it's also because we've all been in sales for years. I have for 30 years. The prospect can tell right away if you just want to close the sale, but they can also tell when you're like, what are your problems? What are your fears, frustrations, and challenges? What are you going through? How can I forget the mortgage? Let's forget whether you're going to give me the listing. What's going on with you? What are you afraid of? Tell me the 3 biggest things that you're worried about that might not get done, and what you would really need to know are going to be taken care of for you to give someone the listing or for you to get your mortgage through me. What's going on with you? And then people just start to just go, oh, okay, great. This person's not another salesman, saleswoman that wants my money. They're actually, and then invariably you get the sale.
Yeah. Or at least you make a connection and you have as good a chance as any of making the sale or making them a client, but at least you connected with them, right? And that sort of needs to happen first off before you could even worry about closing them or getting their business, huh?
Yeah, and a lot of it, again, as I said, in the late 80s when I came up, and all these guys that are big stars now, we were all in the same waiting rooms and I was friendly with some of them. Now, looking back, I know they had that level of self-esteem of like, okay, if I did it this way and they said, cut, let's do it again, it doesn't mean I'm not a good actor. It just means I had a bad take or whatever. They weren't connecting their self-worth to the outcomes. And then invariably they got better outcomes because they weren't so connected to, it's about me and my worth and whether I'm handsome enough or smart enough or a good enough actor or I know enough about it. They were just about how can I serve the material. And so when I work with people, that stuff starts to come out, all their childhood programming and the software, if you will, that was installed. And it's all connected to, do I feel worthy to ask for the sale? You know, you're around really good salespeople, I'm sure you have been, where they don't seem salesy, they don't seem pushy, but they're confident and they know that they can serve you the best and they don't have any problem letting you know that. But it doesn't feel off-putting. That's what I teach my clients how to do.
Well, and that is really, I mean, it's super deep in that, like, you got to start with the inside, right? So many of us think about what's going on the outside, but what you're talking about is just really coming to it from that place of total worthiness so that you're not thinking about yourself, and it allows you to understand on a much deeper level what your client's needs are and to be responding to that. Because so many people are not really present. That's what we see in presentations or now that people are doing Zoom or they're having more phone calls than they were before, they're all trying to multitask. They're all trying to, do a million things instead of just being right here with you, seeking to understand what your needs are and then being able to respond to that, immediately. And that does take a lot of training and skill building because a lot of us just haven't had it.
It does, Kelly. And what I do, what I call the 4 pillars of your business, whether you're a coach, consultant, or service provider, you have to have your client journey written out for yourself. And that's where your confidence and your mindset comes from when you're in front of people. And your client journey is those 5, 6, 8, 10, 12 steps that you're going to take them through, where each one builds on the next from when they start working with you, so you can deliver the result that you're telling them that you can deliver. And when you start with that, like I said, you're starting with them. You're starting with their needs, with what they want. And then you're building the confidence that when I'm in front of somebody and they're telling me their fears, frustrations, and challenges, like I said, or what they're afraid might or might not happen if they work with you, or they could have got a better rate, or they could have gotten a bigger name real estate agent that could have sold their house for more money or faster. You're really going through those issues and really getting the answers from them and making it about them. And that's what gives you your confidence. That's your mindset. Everybody's like mindset. Get your client journey down. Know exactly the steps you take them through to get the result that you're promising. And then when you're in front of them, you're like, oh, I know exactly what this person needs to do. Or when you're in the house, I know exactly what needs to happen here. We should paint that room. Let's fix that. Let's change this bathroom. You understand what I'm saying? It's like you really know what to say because you've started out with them in mind.
Interesting. And with presentations, whether it's one-on-one or a group or something, how powerful are questions, asking questions of your prospect or the person that you're sitting across from?
Questions are great, Norm. They're really great. What I teach people right away is I usually teach them a 15-minute talk, a 5-minute opening, a 5-minute body of the talk, and then a 5-minute close. And so I say, listen, introduce yourself. Hi, my name is Tom. It's so great to be here with you guys today. I just want to let you know that I understand the fears, frustrations, challenges, and issues that you're dealing with. I've been there too. And I'm going to be talking about some great strategies and methodologies in a few minutes. But before we get into that, I'd like to ask a few questions. How many of you have a fear? You get it. Yes. So it really gets that audience engagement going. And makes them feel like, wow, this person is almost inside my head because they know the things that I'm dealing with. Yeah. And then you start addressing those in the body of your talk where you're listing in the order of the problem, solution, outcome format. Yeah. This is how I help someone overcome this. This is how I dealt with this. This is how so they really see, wow, the questions he or she posed in the beginning, now they're answering for me. So you're tying it through, you're bringing them through this emotional, personal, and professional storytelling journey where they're getting this information and they're building connection with you and going, wow, they were there just like me. You know, I became a real estate agent and I realized I didn't get the most money for a house I sold years ago, you know, whatever. And you're getting them to that place where they have all the information they need to make a buying decision.
We know that a lot of, even if it's something, a big financial decision like real estate, mortgage, anything with, you know, buying a car, whatever, a lot of it isn't information, even though maybe it should be, right? A lot of it's actually still emotion and likability and that gut feeling and things going on in our subconscious. So I think all these things you're talking about play into that as well.
Of course. And in your opening, I always encourage people to pull your own covers, share your vulnerability. As I was saying a few minutes ago, when I speak in front of a big audience, I basically say, listen, I know now that I did not achieve the level of success I could have in Hollywood had I known then what I know now. So let me help you close that gap. Yeah. I was right there. I had the look. I was a pretty good actor. I was in the game. I had great agents, all that. But I had kind of a crazy childhood and my self-esteem was not that good. You understand. So it's like really figure out what those blind spots are. And when I share that, I really had that pain myself, but I've turned that wound into a gift. I've that regret that I have, like, I mean, it's not that bad now, but like, damn it, why didn't I know that then I could be, you get it. But then I turn that wound into a gift and help other people, and I'm making a living doing that, you know. So you encourage people to sort of share those things where they learned lessons that might help their prospects, that might help someone else, that might illuminate some sort of real sort of human connection for them. And wow, this person has all the same feelings I have. But here's how they overcame them, or here's how they will show me how to avoid them, or wow, I really feel like I could relate to that person. I could trust them.
And it makes you real. It makes you authentic, you know, which is what people really want as well. They don't want to be sold by a perfect robot, or, you know, they want someone who's real, who could really, like you said, speak to what they're going through and what's important to them. That's interesting.
Yeah, and they want, let's be honest, they want someone who's going to be in their house and maybe calling and saying, hey, I've got a couple that really want to see the house, but they're leaving town tonight. Can you, someone that they trust and they can go, yeah, okay, can you straighten up the house? Don't worry, I'll straighten up too, and I'll get there early. Just someone that they really feel is in their corner, that they trust letting into their inner world, almost the inner sanctum, because obviously selling a home and where you live and where your family is, there's a lot of emotions connected to that.
Yeah.
And so how someone picks an agent to represent them and give them the listing, there's so many more things involved besides who's going to get me the best price.
Absolutely. Hey, Tom, I'm going to switch over a little bit to using speaking as a way to build your network and influence. You know, the one thing that Norm and I are constantly talking to our audience about is just adding massive value and being the person that they think of first. And so I use speaking in my career to coach real estate agents. And so I was constantly in groups of agents, and I continue to do that now. What would you say, like, if you could just distill it down to a few things, because, you know, for most of us, we may or may not know that body language, it's not what you say, sometimes it's how you say it. And then not getting too deep into your story is that, you know, we've all seen a bad speaker before, that it's all about them. And you're like, seriously, like, and then the people that are just too salesy, that are too flashy, that are using, you know, just the typical speaking things that you see too often. Like, what tips, if somebody were to go out and they want to start speaking in public to, you know, add value, whether it's at Rotary or a business organization, just so that they can connect with more people? What would you say, or just a couple tips that you'd give them out of the gates?
Well, great question, Kelly. Obviously, 80% of all communication is nonverbal. Yep. We know that. And so one of the things I work on with people is how they're dressed, their hair, their makeup, just putting yourself together, and then posture, your breath support. When I work with clients, after we write their signature talk and their messaging and get their client program down, then they're actually standing back on our Zoom sessions and they're practicing. And invariably, I will have to say, let's slow down on that line. You really want to land there. Let's pause for 3 seconds and let them think about it. Let's speed it up there, move forward there. And then, you know, you're flicking your hair, you're licking your lips, you're sighing, your sort of breath support is, all those things are so important, because again, if someone is considering buying a mortgage through you or giving you their listing, they're watching all these nonverbal cues because they're evaluating you in so many other ways besides what the words are that are coming out of your mouth. So you really have to make sure that whole package, if you will, is really together. And that's, one of the many things that I work with them on.
I have a question for both of you, if it's okay. When you started in your careers or now, I know you guys both speak to a lot of people. Do you guys get nervous? Do you get the butterflies before, during? I mean, you guys both seem so polished, so I'm just wondering.
All the time, Norm.
Really?
Kelly, can I go first?
Yeah.
So at this Powerful Living experience in Orlando 3 weeks ago, there was about 600 people, and I walked in and I went, got nervous. Now, again, I've sang on Broadway and felt totally relaxed.
Tom,
And I got I kind of gulped and went, oh, and I got nervous. And then I did some self-talk and some breathing exercises and just relaxed myself. And it was like, this is totally normal. And I went up and it went great. I'm sure some of you know Laurence Olivier, the famous actor. He didn't do theater for 12 years because he would throw up sometimes before he went on stage. This was when he was one of the biggest stars in the world. And Daniel Day-Lewis, who we all know has 3 Oscars for acting, lead actor. In 1989, he was doing Hamlet in London and became so frightened on stage that he walked off mid-performance and has never been on stage since.
Whoa.
Daniel Day-Lewis. So my point is, it happens to everyone. And I teach people all sorts of great techniques in how to deal with nerves because everyone gets them. Nerves are actually good. You have to learn how to channel them because we've all seen sort of a flat speaker where it's like they're droning on mono. Nerves are good. You just need to learn how to channel them, get into it, and then you find 2 or 3 minutes in, you just relax and settle in and let it sort of take you.
There was recently, I don't know where it was, but I heard someone talking about that nerves and speaking, and they said, it's okay to have butterflies, just make sure you have them flying in formation.
I love that.
I thought that was a good way of thinking of it. Like, don't try to not have butterflies. It means you don't care enough if you're not a little amped up about it. But just make sure to control them and have them flying in the right direction. I thought that was good.
Yeah. So Norm, I'll take this one now. I would tell you, it's been about 20 years now. So it's an interesting energy that I get, but I have now built in about a 15-minute process before I go on stage or before I go into a room, or even now it's before I get on Zoom.
Yes.
So number one, I'm an empath. So if I don't go through this process, sometimes I can take on the energy of other people. And so I really have to put myself in state. And so I'm totally a faith-based person. So a lot of it has to do with prayer and allowing, a lot of times for spirit to speak through me. And I would say mine is more of an energetic, just high rather than any sort of nervousness or that kind of thing. But it's also been 20 years. And so for me, I'm more comfortable being on a stage or being in that than I would be on a date or something like that. So I think that we all just habitually get programmed to be in certain spaces, but it does get easier over time, and practice and process make it, so I've ritualized what it looks like for me to go on before I do that. And so that's really helped.
That's probably really powerful. Like you said, the ritual beforehand, because you know where you're going, you lead yourself through it, you know where you're going to be at the end, boom, you're ready to go. And those are things you could control, right? Those are things you could practice, and they're in your control, and you could do them, even, as like I said, practice even before you have a speech. So that's
absolutely.
Cool. Yeah. I know I used to, when I lived in Sacramento, I used to speak a lot and do a lot of educational events and radio and, small time, but little media things, sometimes in front of SAR. Oh my God, I would get deathly nervous. I'd be in the car but then I hated it, and it was so nervous until I got up there, and then I opened my big mouth, and then it was okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of the way I would totally ease into it, get the audience engaged, get myself engaged, was just humor. Just being real, making fun of yourself, just saying something, doesn't have to be, extra witty, but just something human. And usually that just breaks the ice for everyone. And, the room is yours after that.
Absolutely. But I think there is this difference between, when we think about nature and nurture, I was just put into an environment from a very young age. Like, I came this way. I was the kid in first grade that when the teacher had a question, I was like, me, who wants to come up and read? Me, right? Where other people, but my parents were super social. And so that we had people around all the time, and I was constantly trying to have conversations with adults. And so that allowed me just to, kind of be that person that was out there already, where other people might have been shy. And if you were shy and you're not used to being around a lot of people, of course it's going to be different. And that's where the skills of working with somebody like Tom come in, is that you're like, I know this will be of value. It's not the only way to build your network, but boy, for me, it was a numbers game. So I could either go out, and Norm and I got to be in business together in the early 2000s, and until he left us and moved out of the country, but we still get to work together. It was a numbers thing for me. I'm like, I can either go have coffee, which takes an hour with one real estate agent, or I can put 30 into a room and in an hour. And it was just boom, I'm going to do 30 every single time. Until those grew to 100-person events, and that was how we brought the numbers in. And I see Zoom, and Tom, I'm going to ask you to share some input on this. I see Zoom as a huge opportunity for real estate agents and loan officers to build community right now, where they offer some value to their database, whether it's a talent show for people's kids or just a Q&A. Hey, I'm going to be on Zoom. If you have any questions about the forbearance plan, about this, about that, like, hey, I'm going to be here. How would you suggest somebody shows up differently on Zoom or is able to build, maybe some more networking opportunities through that?
Oh, that's a great question, Kelly. And I think, especially now with the coronavirus and all that, people are realizing how much more value there is in using Zoom. And I guess my quick answer to that is, again, it's whether you're live in front of someone or on Zoom or doing a Facebook post or whatever. It's really that just calm, very focused, easy, just that vibration that they can feel from you, and that then you're bringing value, and that they know you're sort of leading the call, leading the event, leading the question and answer thing. You have some sort of thing that you're bringing them on where you're going to teach them something or connect different people or whatever, and then that makes you look like a thought leader, like someone who's bringing people together, who's making things happen, and then they want to work with you. So there's many different ways, obviously, that you could do that, but what I would encourage people to do is think about those things and then have a format, have something scripted out, a beginning, middle, and end. Again, people love to watch transformation and through stories. That's why they go to movies. That's why they watch TV shows. They want to see transformation. They want to see the hero go through, or heroine go through the journey, learn all their lessons, have their dark night of the soul where it might not happen, and then they realize things, and then they're propelled through the end, and there's a happy ending. Whatever little event you can do, whether it's live or on Zoom, however you structure it, whatever you're offering, give it a beginning, middle, and end, script it out, and be confident. Where what I tell my speakers all the time is, at any point in your talk, the audience members should be able to answer questions about, could this person help me solve my problem? Could I really trust them? And if I don't work with them, should I try to find someone else because I really need to have this problem solved? They have to be able to answer those questions in the affirmative at any point during your talk. That's why you really need to script it out, like I said, in that Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, that story arc format. And you can do that in anything, even in a 15-minute Zoom call.
Interesting. And I think people, normal consumers, normal people who aren't in Hollywood, I think we're familiar with that story arc in all forms, whether it's advertising, commercials, movies, TV shows, books, in all sorts of media. Even if we don't realize we're being led through that story arc, I think it's almost comforting to know, there's a beginning, middle, and end to this, So that's interesting to integrate that into your presentations or your sales pitches. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, exactly, Norm. Because everyone's busy. They're all checking their phones and their emails. So they almost feel better when they know there's a beginning, middle, and end, and it's going to be 15 minutes, and then they're going to open it up for Q&A. Then they're more apt to go, you know what, I'm going to put my phone away and give them 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then if you're holding their attention all the way through, then they're like, wow, okay. They come up and ask you a question, or can they get on your mailing list?
And then it's
or
also
they know someone that might need your services. Do you have a card? Could you jump on a phone call with them? Would you be willing to talk to one of their friends? That's what you want to do as an agent or a mortgage broker. There's a woman I work with here in Los Angeles. She's a women's coach and an energy healer. And she was like, God, I don't know what to do. And I helped her learn everything that I do. And she started doing Facebook posts. But then I said, she goes to yoga and Pilates. I said, ask them if you can talk after a yoga class or a Pilates class. We gave her actually about a 10-minute talk and then open it up for Q&A. In the last before obviously Corona started, but before she got like 4 new clients in 3 weeks, just doing a few talks at yoga studios. So you never know where your customer is. Interest rates are really low right now. People are looking at their home and wondering, is this a time to sell? Could I get the most money? Should I buy and get a low mortgage? You don't know who might be thinking about selling. So I encourage people, think about your network, think of where you go. And then, like you said, Kelly, try to set something up that seems fun where you can get your message across about, if you're an agent or a mortgage broker, what the climate is looking like right now, if you might be someone that might be thinking about selling or buying and wanting a low rate mortgage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of the professionals now, Kelly, you could probably back this up, that are doing a good job with marketing. It's about communication, but exactly what you said, it's about on a larger platform. So little daily videos where they're answering one question, or here's an update on the CARES Act, or here's what a forbearance is, like you said. Just small little nuggets of information. But with Zoom, with video, with the social media platforms, you could really get it out to large numbers these days.
Yeah, and I think, I'll tell you what holds a lot of people back, especially that I've worked with in the past, is this perfectionism that many of us don't want to admit that we have. Because we watch our videos and then we're like, oh, I don't like it, or I'm not going to post it because this or that. And then we just take this message that was on our heart and do nothing with it. Yeah. And, somebody asked me the trick to video. For me, it was never watching my own video. Like I'm like, I have a crooked mouth when I'm talking, or I have this, or I have that. And so does everybody else. Like we're so imperfect. It's amazing, right? But we're so hypercritical of ourselves. And so I feel, and this is something that hopefully this resonates with you and the listeners, is that if you have wisdom, you have an obligation. Like you have an obligation to share these things. Like Tom has these skills and this wisdom, and Norm, you have this amazing way of helping people market and tell a story about their business to drive more people in. We need to bring this back out there for those of us that live in the consciousness space and are in business. Like it's our obligation to be out there more, doing it from a world positive standpoint, not this, I'm just going to take your money and sell you something that's really not going to benefit the world. So
that's interesting. I never thought of it that way, but it's an obligation or responsibility, to help others. I mean, one of your organizations, right? It talks about voice, and so it's helping people find their own voice too. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fascinating.
Exactly. And you know what you were saying, Kelly, everybody hates the sound of their own voice. Actually, not everyone, but most people. And a lot of people, especially as we get older, I'm in my 50s. I don't know how old you guys are. You know, all the kind of lines and stuff start to stand out. Nobody likes the way they look. There's a rule of thumb in Hollywood that you look twice as good as you think you do. Seriously, everybody hates the way they look. There's famous actors. I know Paul Newman, he was sort of my idol, was famous, has never seen any of his movies. Can't watch himself. He's like, oh, and so many other actors. It's people just have to get over that. And like you were saying, Norm, it's about being of service. Get out of yourself and think about your customer. Make them the hero. And social media, what I teach my clients to do all the time is you want to be posting consistently. And don't do these long posts. For me, anyway, social media, Facebook and LinkedIn are about business. Yeah. I don't put pictures of food on there or anything. Not that it's bad if anyone does that. But I'm posting consistently short posts about things to remember, things about sales, things about performance, put little pictures in there. So people start to follow you. So if you are a real estate agent or a mortgage broker, put little posts in there about what's going on in the market, things that you're dealing with, whatever, a little picture. People see that consistency. Even if they're not hitting the like button or commenting, you have what I call lurkers. They're kind of watching you and they're seeing and they're liking what you're posting. They're like, yeah. And then you'll find, oh my God, someone reached out to me and they want to talk about giving me their listing. But you have to build that momentum up by
It's almost like an audition, right? Like social media is an audition where people see who you are, how you live your life. They'll see consistency, but if all of a sudden you have some crazy rant or, you know, are very unprofessional or not very nice in a post, they're going to sort of take a step back and say, whoa, that's a little out of character. That's probably not the person for me when it's time to buy or sell or get a mortgage.
Exactly. I tell my clients, social media is social proof. They're seeing who is this person consistently showing up like, how are they showing up? What are they posting about? What's the theme of their posts? And are they about them or are they about me? Are they about service and helping other people and putting out great information that people can use, not necessarily only about business? Or is it about me? And the people that do the, you know, making it about others and your customers and your potential customers, those are the people that start to get traction in social media and they find that it starts to turn into deals.
Yeah, interesting.
Awesome. Well, Tom, you have been a wealth of knowledge here today, and just thank you so much for sharing with our community. So how can people, like if they're really going to take advantage of this time that we have to build skills, which I believe are going to create more flow of opportunity in their business long term, how would they get in touch with you? What would it be like to start working with you on really creating their presentation and getting, you know, that powerful confidence that they need to deliver every time?
Thanks, Kelly. What they would do is go to starpowertalk.com, starpowertalk.com. The name of that is obviously I was a star in movies and television, but also you're the star of your business. If you're a mortgage broker or a real estate agent, as we were talking about earlier, you're the star. They have many different people that they can give their business to. So why are they going to do it? Why are they going to give it to you? And that's what I'm going to work with you on. We're going to work one-on-one. We're going to get it done. You are going to have your client journey. And again, you might think, oh, well, my client journey, I'm a real estate agent. You need a client journey. Even if you're not a coach or a consultant, you need to know how you take them from where they are to where they're going to get, whether it's the awesome mortgage at the great rate or the sale at the best price, and how you're going to take them there. You're going to get your signature talk written out. You're going to get your pocket pitch because no one calls it an elevator pitch anymore, which is my 90-second distillation of your signature talk. And then you're going to get your power line. And your power line is that thing. When people ask me at a networking event or a social event, I don't say, oh, they're like, oh, hey, Tom, what do you do? I don't say I'm a speaking coach. Yeah. I say, I help entrepreneurs master their communication so they can double their sales in 90 days. And they go, what? Really? How do you do that? Then I go into my pocket pitch. Well, what I found, 90 seconds, they go, wow, that's really cool. Here's my card. Let's jump on a call. Then my signature talk is my enrollment call on the phone. It's all the same thing. So you're talking about the same things. One of my messaging phrases is work one-on-one and get it done. Don't do an online seminar. Don't do weekend courses, flying places, hotels. You can't get your questions answered. No one's going to do it for you. Work with me and you'll get it done. So that's what I help people to sort of bring into their business, those branding phrases, those slogans, and put that whole package together so they're branding themselves everywhere they go. And you get the whole thing done when you work with me.
So awesome. Well, Norm, what are your top takeaways for your network?
Tom's a pretty cool guy. I'm going to check out. I like what he's doing. I definitely see some things that are actionable that, you know, like you talk about skills and presentation and things that really I could put into my presentation, into my business. I could transmit to my clients. So I'm definitely going to go to his website, check it out. But instead of just written content, which we all need, instead of just video content, it really comes down to our interpersonal and presentation skills. And now, as you guys know, not maybe, but the market's changed. Things the next 2 years might not look like they were the last 2 years. So what that means is there's not the low-hanging fruit of, you know, just a low interest rate or easy refinances. So people really need to take their business and their skills seriously. And that's where you guys are helping them.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And same here. Just, I see so much opportunity, especially within the mortgage and real estate community, for us to, you know, really increase the level of, you know, just skill that we have with our communication skills. That is what we have. Like, no matter what technology does or what the market has, who we're being is really what's going to differentiate ourselves. And so we've got to invest. We've got to invest in this and not take it for granted. You know, just because we know how to talk or listen doesn't mean that we know how to communicate at the highest and most effective level. So yeah. Tom, just thank you again for sharing with our communities today, and just wish you a lifetime of amazing achievements too. So thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Kelly.
All right.